Welcome to the first sports science webinar sponsored by the International Swim Coaches Association. This webinar brings together coaches, athletes, and sports scientists to explore the art and science of swimming. This particular webinar focuses on mental health in sport for athletes and also for coaches. I'm John Heil and will serve as moderator. I work as a clinical and sports psychologist at Psychological Health Roanoke and Swim Sports Psychology. I'm former president of the Society for Sport Exercise and Performance Psychology and also serve on the ISCA Sports Science Board. I'd like to ask the panelists to introduce themselves, starting with Farida.
Hi everyone, I'm Farida Osman. I am an Egyptian swimmer. I represented Egypt in the Olympics in 2012 London and 2016 Rio, and I'm a two-time world bronze medalist.
Sergio?
Hi everyone, I'm Sergio Lopez Miro. I'm from Spain. I've been in America for a long time. I'm a swim coach right now. I've been 5-time Olympian, 3 as a coach and 2 as a swimmer. Bronze medalist in the Olympics, and right now I'm the head coach at Virginia Tech University. I think I'm gonna get fired, but it's okay. I run the men's and women's team, and I also have a post-grad professional group where Farida swims, Pinnacle Racing. And I'm excited to be part of the webinar.
I think maybe we can go ahead with the slide presentation, and then afterwards we can have Ina introduce herself. Anxiety and depression and other mental health disorders are on the rise in adolescents and young adults. This is true of athletes as well. In response, professional sports organizations have been taking action and developing resources, but these are underused. As a note, this presentation includes references and resources, and for your convenience will be posted on the ISCA website so that members can access this at their convenience. As one of the greatest athletes of all time, Michael Phelps surprised many with the story of his mental health problems. In the film, The Weight of Gold, he and other top-level athletes reveal their personal struggles on the path to success, speak to life at the top, and what comes after. The COVID crisis is a disruptor on a scale of extraordinary proportion, with a society-wide impact on mental health. Generation Z is carrying the heaviest emotional burden, which appears to be linked to worry about an uncertain future. As it turns out, younger adolescents are doing better than their older counterparts, perhaps because of the support system of the family home and community. Otherwise, the level of emotional distress progressively decreases with increasing age. The NCAA Sports Science Institute has been leading the way in athlete mental health, with other organizations following suit, including the International Olympic Committee. It's noteworthy that in the last 10 years, college counseling centers have dramatically increased the number of mental health providers specialized in work with athletes. The publications Mind, Body, and Sport and Mental Health Best Practices are raising awareness about mental health, establishing accountability, and directing action on the part of sport stakeholders. While mental health resources are increasingly available, they are underused, representing a disconnect between the problem and the potential solution. This appears to be the result of persisting stigma about mental health, a misunderstanding of the role of toughness in sport, and the fear that mental health concerns preclude success at sport. The coach has a significant role to play in athlete mental health. This begins with team culture, which influences not only performance but also athlete well-being. Team support, which is also a function of culture, has an important impact as well on athlete mental health. Referral and information resources are available from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee and from the Association for Applied Sports Psychology. And a final thought, coaches, be sure to take care of your mental health too. Thank you. As you can see, the panelists are on the screen. As participants in the webinar, you are unseen but may contribute questions through chat. This system is used in part to maintain compliance with NCAA regulations. We want you to know that the program will be recorded for encore viewing, and it will give you an opportunity if you want to investigate the resources listed there in the PowerPoint presentation further. So we're ready to begin our questions, and I think what the question I'd like to start out with, we might start perhaps Sergio with you, and that is, what have you seen in terms of athlete mental health now versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago in your work?
Well, I think more and more it's becoming, it's kind of out in the open. We can say that maybe 20 years ago when I was an athlete, it was there, the same problems, but people didn't talk about it. And it was, you had to learn how to deal with it. I think nowadays it's a big problem. It's a big issue, and it's as a coach, it's really hard to try to manage a team because you want to coach and try to understand who has any signs of any mental health so you can direct them to the right person, And, I'm very lucky that I work at a Power 5 school and we have resources, but other coaches might not have the same resources, And I have psychologists, we have psychiatrists, we have dietitians, we have every type of person that can help somebody work through their mental health. But it's a very hard time, I think, nowadays. I also think the internet and the way the society is isolating the kids a lot and giving them a perception of that it's not the reality of the world or the real life. So then many of the problems get even worse.
Farida, could you add some thoughts to that?
Yeah, I think mental health is definitely really important. And as an athlete, I think nowadays it's easier to talk about and easier to share how you're feeling or your emotions. I think before it was more associated to if we share our feelings or emotions, that it's we're showing that we're weak. But that's not the case. And I think it's very important for athletes to have really good mental health because it really affects your performance. And I think me personally, I think Sergio can attest to that, but I'm more of a mental swimmer. So if I'm happy, and even though my training is not great, I think I could perform better than having the best training but not mentally sane kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think mental health really plays a big part in your performance, and I think people need to start talking about it more, and obviously now there are a lot more resources than before. So I think speaking as an athlete, it is very important to take advantage of all the resources that we have now regarding mental health.
Mm-hmm. Could you maybe continue a little bit with the idea of the experience of the team, the culture of the team, and the way that influences the mental health of athletes, both in terms of just that stabilizing influence, but also maybe seeking help when it's needed?
Yeah, so the team culture is about just holding your teammates accountable, just knowing that your teammates will do whatever it takes to perform their best, as an individual, but also as a team. So having that team culture that there's trust in one another and accountability, I think that goes a really long way regarding performance. And I think team culture is very important because like you want to build that base and you want to have that core that just have it like a safe environment, a safe place for everyone to really say how they feel. If someone is struggling, they wouldn't be afraid or ashamed to talk about how they're feeling, but building that team culture to like have it okay for everyone to really say how they're feeling, because if we don't know how one swimmer or how one teammate is feeling, we're not going to be able to help them. So as like an effect for like the bigger picture or like the bigger team performance, we would want to build a safe place for everyone to feel okay mentally and be okay to feel that way, and like not have it taken as a negative connotation but more of a positive, because like you would ask for what you need, you will get what you need, and then like mentally you will be happier and like ready to perform in the big scale of things.
Ina, we're trying to understand the role of team culture, and I know that you've had a lot of different experiences, different sports as a coach, as an athlete, and as a sports psychologist. And I was wondering if you could just share a little bit about your background and tell us what your thoughts are about team culture.
Oh, yeah, thank you, John. And I apologize for the technical difficulties here. I'm not sure what happened, but I was a modern pentathlete many years ago. That was an individual sport, and I had the pleasure of competing on a team with a team as a relay, which was amazing. I did have several teammates that we're still close with. Obviously, that was many, many years ago. In terms of coaching, I've coached swimming for about 10 years or so at the Division I NCAA level, and now I focus on the youth, like age group athletes in a different sport. I believe that team culture is extremely important, and starts building. We should start building it pretty much as soon as the athlete enters the organized sports and enter in the pool. I think, especially with age groups, helping the children to name the emotions, to kind of understand what it feels to be angry or sad or happy, surprised, all those basic emotions. Sense different sensations in their body, connect with that, and really be willing to listen to the emotions. There is no good emotion, there's no bad emotions. Everybody has emotions, and everybody's okay to have those emotions. There are obvious situations where we have to be careful what we do based on those emotions. But building a trusting community or trusting team culture comes with us, with coaches, comes with administrators, starts with administrators, starts with parents as well, to understand that, you could be a very successful swimmer, but you're not a swimmer only. You're a human being with so many other aspects of your identity that you're building and developing. And addressing the whole person, not just the swimmer, is extremely important, and will have a very positive impact on the child, no matter if they stick with the sport or not, because we're building human beings, not necessarily just athletes.
Sergio, perhaps you could discuss how you feel COVID has changed things. How have you tried to adapt the way you train, and what's working with you and your athletes, both at the collegiate level and at the elite level?
It's been, I think it's been a big adjustment. I think personally, I believe, I think personally it hasn't been as hard for me, because I've always tried to look at the positives of the negatives. And the positives is that we still have a great life ahead of us, and that we can make the best out of each moment, and so that's what we've tried to do. When I'm in charge of around 80 athletes at the collegiate level, and I have around between 15 and 18 in the postgrad group. So between the ages of 18 to close to 30, it's a pretty big range of people and emotions. I think it's been very hard for the coaches, I can assure you that, because to have to really understand somebody who believes that COVID is a big threat and somebody who doesn't care because of whatever, and then try to put them together and try to be socially conscious and try to do the right thing for everybody. It's a challenge. But with that being said, I think if the team can really absorb and feel what you're trying to do and you're positive about it, there will be positive. And I feel very good about what has happened with us. We have had to change the training, but it's okay. We're still swimming very well. Because if the coaches believe that we're doing something positive, the athletes will believe that. And I think the most important is try to create that respect, try to understand. It's like different religions and different ways of thinking. People think differently about the COVID, and some people don't like to wear masks. Some people want to wear masks. Some people don't want to be close to somebody. Some people don't want to go to a competition because they feel threatened. So it's a challenge. It's a big challenge. But personally, and Farida can attest to that, I think we're doing a good job, and you try to be positive. And I know for them, for example, not having the Olympics has been a big blow, but we have another year, so we're trying to do that. And life goes on, and that's a very important thing.
Mm-hmm. Farida, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think definitely COVID is one of the first ever experiences a lot of us have ever experienced. And I think for me personally, just having the Olympics being postponed was definitely really hard, because you sacrifice so much. I'm Egyptian, so I lived in Egypt my whole life, but I decided to stay longer in the US and be away from my family and friends, or my comfort zone. So I was mentally prepared to perform my best when the Olympics were supposed to be last summer. So having that just taken away from you, as much as I know our health is so important, our health and our family's health, everyone's health is a lot more important. But I think at the moment it was definitely really hard mentally, because you're frustrated. You sacrifice so much, you work so hard, and you were mentally ready to perform your best. But then when you just slow down and take a step back, you gain some perspective. So you think about how that extra year can get you better in the water, just make you stronger, make you faster, just work on little things that you didn't have time to work on last year, but now you have more time to work on. So I think taking a step back and slowing down, just gaining a different perspective during these hard times. And especially athletes, we don't like the unknown. We always like to know when's the next meet. We train for something, we have a goal, we have a target, and not knowing when's the next meet might have been the hardest part. But I think having Sergio as the coach and our teammates is just we all decided to just be present and stay in the moment and do our best every day, in and out of the pool. So when the Olympics hopefully happen, we are ready to go. So I think being present and staying in the moment and just doing whatever you have to on that day and just taking it day by day is really important right now, because we don't know what's coming next. We don't know what's the next meet. And I think if we overthink of what's going to happen next, I think that would drive us crazy. So I think just being present in the moment is really important. And this is what keeps us motivated and disciplined and committed to our goal to perform our best at the Olympics in 2021.
Ina, can you add something there?
Yeah, it was very interesting actually to hear Sergio and Farida, because they are working at obviously elite level with some high goals in mind, where motivation could be affected negatively by this prolonged uncertainty time that we live in. And my, I guess, experience with the younger athletes have been really up and down, and where sometimes I have to adjust practice training the day of, depending on how the group feels, and be able to kind of put everyone together. And so sometimes I had to be flexible, right? To throw out what I had in mind, but because I had prepared a couple other options that would fit better for the moment. So there were periods where moods change, attitudes change, and so we address them. And I think connecting with the kids, with the athletes regularly, pretty much every time you have an opportunity to meet with them or see them on the computer or face to face, checking in, and connecting with them. How do you feel? What's going on around you? Not just in your sport, but what's your mood? With the younger ones, you don't have those faces with different emotions, and then they will text me or chat on the computer which one they feel. We've had some art projects. Sometimes, I send the kids an art project that helps them express better what happens for them, or kind of make meaning or make sense of what's going on around them. And for me, staying as the adult, right? Staying informed, staying updated with what's going on, taking a step back and kind of really taking a look at my self-care routine, and keeping in mind that I'm also a model for them. So I watch out. I want them to do what I do, so I don't want to preach something that I don't follow. And really, we've had discussions on values. What are our values, and why we're doing the things we do, and why we're doing the things the way they're doing. And it's been very positive on the kids. They've seemed more connected with each other, and also more accepting of those kind of fluctuations in mood and thoughts coming and going. Yeah.
We did solicit questions both from the ISCA newsletter and through chat today, but one came in, really a comment. It's from a coach. Like many other swimming coaches, I have lost my job. In his case, after 45 years of coaching at club and international level. And I know there's a lot of coaches at a lot of levels that are either out of coaching, at least temporarily, or struggling to stay in. And what can we offer them? What can we say to them? What can we do to help them?
Can I talk?
Yes, please.
I think I think one of the important things with the COVID that has happened is that it gives us a chance to reinvent ourselves, and that's a very important thing, And it's very hard because we're all in the same. I'm lucky that I still have my job, but as we know, a lot of universities have been struggling with budgets and things, and we got our budget cut, our salaries cut, and so. But you have to reinvent yourself. You have to think outside the box and try to keep yourself motivated to try to find an avenue when the COVID hopefully gets fixed. So I know it's going to change. It has changed a lot, our lives a lot, but you can jump in again into your coaching or into an area that you realize that you can be passionate about it, And I think that the hard part has been that for a lot of people, they've been sitting down, because you're isolated in some places, and you cannot go out, you cannot see people, and that has been really hard. I know when we started with the COVID, I think around almost a year ago, I started like a coach's talk online, and I think after 2 weeks, we had almost 700 coaches meeting once a week just to talk, from coaches that still have jobs and coaches that have lost their jobs, And I think the important thing that has taught us this thing is how to, coaching is sharing, and coaching is about helping one another, empowering one another to be the best that we can be, And so I think hopefully a lot of good things have happened, and I think you just need to stay strong, and reinvent yourself. You have to reinvent yourself. That's for sure, because who knows when all these things settle, if we're going to be able to coach at the same level, if the clubs, instead of 500 swimmers, might only be able to coach 100 swimmers at a time. So there's a lot of things, and you just have to be ready for that.
We decided in advance to try to keep this webinar very tight and timely and on schedule. So I feel like there's much more we could talk about, much more to say, and many questions to address. And maybe we can come back to those at a later date. But for now, what I'd like to do is to close things out. I'd like to thank the panelists for your participation, for your thoughtful answers, and for your willingness to be here and just reach out and help others. I thank you to the participants. We hope you'll come back and visit our next webinar. Look at our newsletters online, and please be in touch. Let us know if there's topics you'd like addressed either in the next webinar or in the newsletter. And again, I'd just like to thank all the participants.